Hello folks, Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com and we'll take a look at them after round 1. Today we're going to be playing Soldier Stompy. John Tyler S. donated to see this deck in action, and part of the reason for that is because there's a new card that can kind of change how this archetype is built, Valiant Veteran. This is from the same cycle of lords that we've seen kind of push some cards into goblins and merfolk technically as well. So it's a 2/2 lord that gives your other soldiers +1/+1. And for 5 mana, you can exile this card from your graveyard to put a +1/+1 counter on each soldier you control. So in my opinion, this is not necessarily one of the stronger cards from this cycle. While a lot of the other cards the other lords from this cycle give you an effect while your lord is in play, this one doesn't. It kind of gives you something after the fact. So I'm not super stoked about this card, generally speaking, but there's a caveat here. With the printing of this card, there's now probably a high enough density of soldiers that you can actually play this deck without just absolutely having to go and put Suppression Field into the deck. And you do get some exciting sequences like Esper Sentinel into Valiant Veteran, and now your Esper Sentinel is not only bigger, but it's taxing harder. So this deck is built with a couple of things in mind. Number one, it wants to optimize Preeminent Captain by playing some Captain of the Watches that you can cheat in. This is an incredibly powerful card, but it's very difficult to actually hardcast it. Number two, removal is king in this deck list. We are maxing out on both Brutal Cathar and Palace Jailer, which is a card that's really fallen out of favor in Legacy. The Monarch mechanic has become a lot riskier as more flash creatures become printed, and as the blue decks are just playing more creatures, generally speaking, from Uro to Endurance to Icefang Coatl, and so forth. One very notable thing that I want to note here, we probably will never actually cast an Amaria's Call. This is just going to be a land that costs me 3 life every time that I play it. But the upside to it is that it is imprintable under a Chrome Mox, which is why we are going to try that out in the first place. I didn't touch the main deck, I don't think. I did adjust the sideboard ever so slightly here. So essentially, we're pretty focused. We've got a handful of things that we are trying to cover here, and most of this stuff is relatively common. We are playing an Armageddon because an opening as simple as turn 1 Preeminent Captain, turn 2 Armageddon will probably lead to a win. I don't think I have too much else to say here. This is an archetype in slightly different forms that I've played a decent amount over the years. And let's see how this card feels. Like, is this good enough to see play in this deck? Is it like it bumping Preeminent Captain's power going to be relevant? Like, let's see how this deck feels in action. All right, if you're new here and you like what you see today, please consider subscribing. If you're a regular, throw me a like before this video begins. It's the easiest way to support my content for free. If you've got a sweet brew that you want to see on the channel, or you end up wanting to try this out, check out the video description for that information. Let's battle. Oh, neat. So here's one of the things from the deck check in action, right? So this is Chrome Mox being able to imprint Amaria's Call, which is going to be very relevant here, because it's going to let me either play around a Daze on turn 1, or be able to play Chalice of the Void on turn 1 without taking damage from Ancient Tomb. My hand's going to be a keep. It's a little slow, but it's not that slow. My opponent has mulligan to 5, which has me nervous. That often means it's just Reanimator. What do I have for Reanimator? Alright, I've got 4, 5 easy cards for the matchup and a couple things that might do something else. Alright. Question 1, are you Reanimator? No, not Reanimator. Okay. So that's going to be a Pithing Needle on Wasteland, in all likelihood. Okay, so this is maybe a Dark Depths combo deck. That is a fantastic draw if that is the case. I believe that I am still interested in playing Chrome Mox, Amaria's Call, Chalice on 1. There's a world where I can play Palace on 2 instead to stop, like, Vampire Hexmage. But if my opponent has Vampire Hexmage and Merit Lodge, or sorry, and Dark Depths, they can just play that and do their thing on their turn, and Chalice on 2 doesn't actually interact with that at all. Okay, there's a Verdant Catacombs, so I'm not, like, immediately dead this turn. That's good. There's a Bayou, a Sylvan Scrying. Okay, so my read that this was a Dark Depths deck was correct. So the next question is, do I want to play Palace Jailer to start drawing cards, or do I need to save that to answer a creature? I think I'm fine just playing Enlistment Officer this turn. Costs me a little life, but this is going to probably draw me 2 cards, if I were to guess. We get to look at 4 and get the soldiers. Alright, it's resolved. Ooh, hot damn, we drew 3 cards. Oh my god, 2 of which are removal spells? Hell yeah. Now, I don't have instant speed removal. That's something that I'm lacking. As far as sorcery speed stuff goes, I have that covered. So, Dark Depths into Vampire Hexmage is what I'm scared of right now. Yep, okay. I opted to shut off all the Thought Seizes and, like, crop rotations, all that sort of stuff. Got Karakas that I can draw as an out. 100% incorrect to do this at sorcery speed because I just revealed 2 Brutal Cathars. As a Captain of the Watch. I guess the world in which I'm not dead looks like this. Sorry, I'm just going to double check. I don't have Solitude, right? I do not have Solitude. Yeah. So I think the world where I win this one is a world where my opponent messes up. I don't understand what we're thinking about here. Oh shit. Sure. I'm good with that. Going from not dead to this. Huge upgrade. Wish I could play another card this turn. I'll crush in for 2. Play to your outs, I guess, right? Opponent goes to 17. Your crop rotation is fine. Finding a stage, not a problem. The opponent's last card is presumably a land, or no, it doesn't have to be a land. They've got an Urborg. And a Yavimaya. So, all I need to do is cast 2 spells this turn, and then I can kill Merit Lodge with this thing transforming back. That's dope. I can also attack with my creatures. Because if my opponent makes Merit Lodge, unless their last card is exactly crop rotation, just got them. Their last card is exactly crop rotation. Is there any world in which I win? Not really. It would have to involve me casting 2 spells, opponent being forced to use crop rotation this turn. So maybe I just attack with Enlistment Officer after playing Valiant Veteran. That seems okay. I think it's an attack just with this one, though. I don't know, maybe I'm leaving too much damage on the table here. Like, this is 6 damage. No, it's not too much on the table. Fine. Alright. Opponent goes to 14. 2 damage to myself. Uncounterable. Preeminent Captain. Pass the turn. Okay. There's the Dark Depths thing happening. And then this thing's gonna transform. Okay, there we go. And I'll take out Merit Lodge. Alright. So Preeminent Captain is going to attack, putting in Captain of the Watch, and then my opponent should be dead. 3, 6, 9, 10, 11 damage already. Onboard tricks, yo. They are strong. So I think my opponent has punted this game twice. I think they punted this game by by not activating Vampire Hexmage and going for the kill. And then I think they punted it a second time when they made Merit Lodge into the face of Brutal Cathar transforming. I'm very happy to win game 1 here, because I don't think this matchup is necessarily good for me. I don't have a lot of interaction. I'm going to bring in 4 Swords to Plowshares. That'll help. I'll probably play Armageddon despite it being slow. I don't think I'm super into this. So I'm going to take out Chalice of the Void, I think. It has uses, but especially on the draw, I don't think it's where I want to be. Chalice on 1, for example, is just going to run into my own Swords to Plowshares, which is an incredibly important card. From there, I think I'll probably go down to Enlistment Officers, maybe. Enlistment Officer and Thalia both feel kind of medium to me. Okay, my hand has respectable but unexciting cards. I probably keep this. Improved a lot by a good number of draws. Assuming I hit another white card or mana source, I can work towards Palace Jailer being the thing that I use to take over this game. I think this is good enough. Thoughtseize on Chrombox is a little awkward. I get slowed down just so much by it. But it's not game-ending by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah, Pithing Needle is fine. Like, I have very few things that you can Pithing Needle. I guess Caracas. Alright, still going on Wasteland. Isn't in my deck, I don't believe. We have to double check. Plains is good. So, Plains, Chromox. Do I still just imprint Amaria's Call? I think I still just imprint Amaria's Call. Play Valiant Veteran. And on turn 2, I will have Swords to Plowshares up with 2 3/3s. It's possible I'm not supposed to put that under, so that I can work towards Palace Jailer as quickly as humanly possible. Alright, there's a Lotus Petal. Oh, there's another Amaria's Call. I'm willing to take the damage from that next turn. Let's go ahead and play out another Lord. Crash in for 3. Alright, opponent goes down to 16. Let's see if they have... Nope, no end of turn, crop rotation, or abrupt decay, or anything. Not even sure if I'll play Palace Jailer next turn if my opponent just passes with a whole bunch of mana up. Ghost Quarter is fine. Just passing. Captain of the Watch. Let's attack for 6 as my starting point. That is an abrupt decay. That is fine. Note there is this ability that I can use in a little while. Why did my opponent keep their hand? Alright, they're at 14. I'm not expecting to just, like, die in end step or anything, so I think given that, I'm supposed to play the backside of this, pay the life, and just become the pretty princess. Alright, good stuff. This still attacks for 5 next turn. Alright, cool. Cavern's an acceptable draw, but I don't think it is going to super matter. Cavern allows me to do this if I feel like I can tap out for that, but I don't think I can tap out for that at sorcery speed. Or Pithing Needle resolves. Would you like to name Valiant Veteran? I believe Caracas is the correct name. Alright, yes. Opponent agrees with me. Another Swords is very strong. Alright. Name Soldier. I'm just going to attack for 5. This doesn't have a timing restriction, so like I can do that at instant speed on my opponent's turn, which is super cool. Double Swords to Plowshare should be very hard to beat. Oh wow, no end of turn crop rotation. Both of my opponent's remaining cards have to be protection spells that stop Swords to Plowshares. Right. End of turn, activate this thing. I'm going to be real with you, I did not expect that we would activate that in the entire league. If I imprint Captain of the Watch, I can play Thalia prior to attacking and still have 4 mana available for double Swords to Plowshares. I'm into that. Alright, Chromox would like to force a Vigor in response. You have no cards in hand, then that means single Swords to Plowshares is perfectly safe for me to hold up. That's fine. I will not imprint a card. Let's go white mana. Play out Thalia. attack with both creatures. This is not a lethal attack, but I would expect my opponent to... no, they probably shouldn't, because I could just have a 3-mana sorcery speed answer. Yeah, it is correct to not make one here. Alright. Opponent goes to 2. I'll draw a card. They'll probably make their Dark Depths Merit Lodge token right here. Yep. You can have your 20/20. I'll draw my card. It is a new Thalia. I'll happily give my opponent 20 life. That just doesn't matter. Like, I have, what? I have 10 damage on board. This is going to be a 2-turn clock, assuming I can get any other creature in play or cast Captain of the Watch. Okay, there is a Flagstones. 1 mana short of Captain. But I'll just crash in. Like, I'm good. Opponent needs combo piece, protection piece in order to be in an okay position. And I don't think they can get all of that. If I play Captain of the Watch, it is, in theory, lethal damage, but it would drop Swords to Plowshares. You may Inquisition me. So that means I now just Captain of the Watch for lethal. I don't have Swords to Plowshares available anymore, and there's no line that causes my opponent to combo me off. Alright. Also uncounterable, for what it's worth. Just +1/+1 and Vigilance. Also comes with 3 friends. I don't exactly know why my opponent kept their opening hand for this game. Like, it's very slow for a combo hand, and probably not defensive enough for a defensive hand. Alright, so we've got our first round in the bag. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. Moxfield is a deck building website for Magic the Gathering, and they have a ton of functionality just beyond building decks. So for example, let's say you're making a whole bunch of changes to your deck list while you're at work and you want to goldfish your deck over your lunch hour, you can do so via Moxfield. You can tap your lands, you can play your cards, draw, even view your entire library if you need to. So please consider checking out this website. They support my content. Alright, round 2, this hand just has way too much mana. I will mulligan this one. We're in a Goldilocks situation where this one now does not have enough mana. I would rather go to 5 than keep this hand. Keep. Pitch a Brutal Cathar. The next one's tougher. Because Enlistment Officer is a refuel. Brutal Cathar is the ability to remove an opposing threat, a Dragon Rage Channel or a Murktide Regent, and this is just mana. I think I'm going to pitch the Brutal Cathar and hope that things kind of work out. I'm just going to hope that, like, this middle of the curve section is the portion of my deck that I draw. Like, I've got those things in Chalice of the Void. And if I just draw another land, I've got Enlistment Officers and Palace Jailers. A Once Upon a Time in response. I'm not prepared to beat Elves. My opponent just miss? Holy hell. Yes. I will take that. Once Upon a Time Mountain? Red-green Eldrazi? Question mark, question mark, question mark? Sorry, I'm sitting here thinking about this Amaria's Call and whether or not I want to put it into play right now. Tapped. I don't think I do. I want to have that flexibility. Just crash in here. Now my guess is this is some sort of Minsk and Boo, red-green Eldrazi, something in that ballpark pile. This is definitely a weird opener, though. Chronosphere. I get a card. This is a punish for not playing Chrome Mox last turn. It's not that bad, but I could have played Enlistment Officer this turn. A slightly different timeline. Alright, Cavern. Goes on Soldier. Cast Chrome Mox for 3 mana. Imprint and Amaria's Call. Attack for 1. Yeah. I took a huge tempo hit for not playing out Chrome Mox last turn. And, like, Chronosphere is something that I definitely should have expected that my opponent could have had. Alright. Caves of Chaos Adventurer. Alright, and I'm just going to pull this up so you can kind of see what's coming. I expect my opponent to go to the Forge next turn for some +1/+1 counters. Alright. Let's go and find a removal spell for next turn. So, yeah. So I could have played Brutal Cathar this turn. Play that. Not like to pay the life. I could have played Brutal Cathar this turn if I had played Enlistment Officer last turn because I had played the Chrome Mox the previous turn. So there's definite worlds where I lose this game because I didn't play a Chrome Mox out because I was trying to stay open about my decisions. Okay. So given that I revealed the Brutal Cathar, my opponent is now going for the Scry. Reasonable. Fireflux Squad. Sure. Alright. So are they going to turn the Caves of Chaos Adventurer into something new? Starting with Caves of Chaos Adventurer trigger, which is a play. Oh, the what? All right. You fucking got me. I didn't expect that one. Didn't expect that. No. Okay. Okay. No blocks. Now I have seen some wild shit in my days. That was impressive. All right. Brutal Cathar. Target this Archon. Oh, I'm so close to dead. I need to attack with this so I can take the initiative. Because it definitely matters. Now I get a basic land card. I'll move to my second main phase. At which point I can play my land drop and play an Esper Sentinel. Now I have a blocker for this. Yeah, you can crash on in. I will chump block. I'm not giving you the initiative back. Absolutely not. Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Alright. Into another Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Well, that's scary. Probably supposed to go to the Forge and turn this into a first striker. Or, well, not turn it into a first striker. You know, make it a more effective first striker. Alright. The captain has arrived. So I'm not sure if I'm supposed to attack or not. Oh, it's vigilant? No question then. Get in there. So the scary thing here is that trap, assuming that I can keep the initiative, drains my opponent for 5, which is effectively a win, given how much power I already have on board. Alright, so my opponent has just looted through 4 cards. Alright. That's some extra mana without my opponent having to necessarily tap Ancient Tomb. Am I just dead to art, like, both attack, flip Archon of Cruelty, because it flies? Otherwise, I'm good, I think. Arn? Oh, shit. That's real good. I have to sacrifice a soldier. That gains life. Okay, they're going for broke here. Let's see what they turn that into. What the fuck is this? As long as you're the monarch, permanents you control have hexproof. What the fuck? What the fuck is this? Alright. This is wild. Okay. I still got the initiative. Where's this card? I am not interested in goading. This is trap. You lose 5. This might win. As long as you're the monarch, they have hexproof. Fuck. That's tough. And I miss. Wild. I'm 100% dead in the air. Means I should attack to become the monarch. Try to draw a card and see if that changes anything. Alright, so I lose my good creature in combat here. I do become the monarch. I'll draw a card. Does not change anything here. This is insane. I'm dead to it, but it is absolutely insane. Swords to Plowshares is great. Cathar Commando and Unlicensed Hearse and Armageddon are probably playable. I'm 100% cutting Chalice of the Void. I'm not super interested in Thalia, I don't think. So Chalice becomes Swords, and then it's just a question of, like, what of this stuff is good. Wonder if I lost that game for not playing out that Chrome Mox that one turn. Very possible I did, because the margins were very close. I don't think I want to Armageddon. I think 2 of my Thalias are going to become Cathar Commandos, and then I'm a little unsure on Unlicensed Hearse. It's something that's very large, but it's also just not a soldier in my soldier deck. I think I'm not going to play it, at least for this game. Doesn't do anything on turn 1, but I still think the hand's a cape. A little awkward because I like have to play the Chrome Mox out on turn 1. I could get eaten by an artifact removal spell of some kind. Alright, Chrome Mox. Imprint Amaria's Call. I'm just going to play Plains here. Because in the worlds where my opponent plays out a creature on turn 1, I just want to be able to go land drop Brutal Cathar without taking damage. Alright, there's a mountain. Doing anything else? We're not doing anything else. So that's a fine draw. So let's draw some cards here. At least maybe. I missed last time. Those are fine pickups. Can get aggressive pretty quickly. But most importantly here, I've just, like, got a Brutal Cathar coming that can get whatever relevant creature out of the way. There is a Caves of Chaos Adventurer from my opponent. Alright, I have to read another card. Opponents can't gain life. -2. Create a 1/1 red devil creature token with, when this dies, it deals 1 damage to any target. Okay. That occurs. So I am always playing out my Valiant Veteran here. Just gonna help me against the Fury type cards. And I think I'm okay with just doing this and, like, taking advantage of my superior board presence. This lets me kill that Tybalt. And then there's a lot of worlds where I can just play 2 spells on my own turn to flip this. Or sorry, play no spells on my own turn, flip this, and try to flip it back as a removal spell later. This is also just roughly a 2-turn clock in terms of raw power, backed by a removal spell. Okay. Fury is very good. Still does get 2 creatures. I know my opponent has a Caves of Chaos Adventurer. Oh, they get a basic land here. My opponent is probably going to miss this, right? They just attack, put the counter on, and take the initiative. Or, well, not take the initiative, kill their creature. Alright. Yeah? Guess I should have played the Esper Sentinel out pre-combat. Mistake on my end, I miss a point of damage for that. Alright, I take the initiative. I get a basic land out of my deck. Grab a Plains. Play out an Esper Sentinel. I guess I leave this for instant speed while leaving up a Gonjo. Actually, that's super relevant. Yeah, I didn't mess up. Now I kind of Gonjo away the Caves of Chaos Adventurer. Another Fury would suck. Is another Fury. What is more important? Saving both of these creatures or Agonjoing the Caves of Chaos Adventurer, which is about to hit me? Probably saving both of these creatures. Alright. Soldiers get big. Now, unfortunately, this has trample, so the chump blocking isn't really an option here. Alright. I'll eat that damage. Go to 9 is scary. Opponent will put 2 +1/+1 counters on Fury. Oh shit, Palace Jailer. Holy shit, that is a draw. Alright. Land drop. Need to tap this one. Palace Jailer. Dunk Fury. An attack for 5. A Gonjo this away. That sounds very nice. The opponent goes to 9. I take the initiative. I will go to the Forge. I think these counters go on Palace Jailer to make it harder to remove and to spread my damage out a little bit. Draw a card. Captain of the Watch is a nice finisher for next turn. Alright, Fireflux Squad. So my opponent will attack in with both of these. Let's kill the creature with Trample here. Alright. Fantastic. There's a Trinisphere. That is all good. Ugh. Okay. So, now, question is, on the draw, do I want Unlicensed Hearse or Thalia? First Strike's relevant. Having the largest body on the battlefield is also very relevant. I think since my opponent has shown me this random, like, Tybalt thing, that I just keep the extra early game body that doesn't require me to jump through any hoops. How is this hand? What has my opponent done? My opponent has mulliganed. Turn 1 Esper Sentinel, turn 2 Preeminent Captain. Improved by so many draws, and I am on the draw. I think that's okay. Not going to be great against turn 1 Caves of Chaos Adventurer, though. See what my opponent's got. Ancient Tomb, pitch Chrome Mox, pitching a Blood Moon, Fable of the Mirror Breaker. That's quite good. Not really in a position to destroy that, and my Esper Sentinel is somewhat unlikely to draw me cards. Hopefully. Oh man, my opponent didn't want to discard any cards. That's very bad news for me. Alright, there's Fireflux Squad. Let's see if my opponent flips into something stupid. What is this? Is that... Oh, what the fuck? Have to block this now. Alright. Alright, I did not rip the removal spell that I needed to remove Emrakul. Concede. Alright, GG, I guess. Alright, we're playing against a Yorion deck. I have 3 lands. I don't know that this hand is a keep. I don't know that it's a mulligan either. So, like, I can play a turn 1 Emeria, turn 2 Chalice, and then start deploying cards. Probably good enough. It's just, like, awkward if my opponent wastelands me, which is, like, a thing that very much could happen if they are on Death and Taxes, specifically. They'll think this is the land that I play on turn 1, despite that. The reason being that if I draw an Ancient Tomb, I can still Chalice of the Void next turn in some worlds. There is a Mother of Runes. Not really a big problem. A slight problem. But not something that I am overly worried about. I am going to take the turn to cast the Chalice of the Void on 1. It's not like it's going to be fantastic versus my opponent, because it doesn't actually hit that many cards. It's 4 Vials, 3 Moms, a couple Source of Plowshares, that sort of stuff. And it's not like innately a good card versus Death and Taxes. It's a card that I'm probably going to board out, in fact. But given that my plan is attack with a first striking Preeminent Captain and go to town with it, I think it's worth taking that turn off. Yeah, sure, that's fine. Okay, that is a Saucy Mother of Runes attack, which is probably not correct if you know my deck list, but probably correct if you don't, if that makes sense. Because Ancient Tomb into 3 mana guy that removes things punishes that line so incredibly hard. Alright. Name Soldier. I believe playing out a Valiant Veteran this turn is better than an Esper Sentinel. Note that I can play Esper Sentinel through Chalice of the Void with Cavern of Souls. Alright, there's my opponent's land drop. Definitely scared of some sort of, like, Stoneforge Mystic shenanigans. Getting Jitte. Jitte is very, 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 very slow here. Like, it's good, don't get me wrong. But that's 2 or 3 turns worth of mana. Is this Enlistment Officer or Preeminent Captain? I think it's Preeminent Captain. I also think I'm supposed to attack for 2. I am going to try to condition my opponent to tap their Mother of Runes, so that I can get a blowout later. Okay, they are not biting this turn. Put that on Soldier again. Play out Preeminent Captain. I have a 3/3 first striker, which helps a lot with dealing with Jitte. Things become scarier if my opponent also has like Cauldra or Batterskull. Might be in a position where I kind of have to ignore those things though. There is another Plains into a Flicker Wisp. That's going to flicker Stoneforge Mystic to attempt to find another piece of equipment. Which is pretty good. I'd like to draw Captain of the Watch, I guess. I want to put enough pressure on my opponent where they feel compelled to tap Mother of Runes so that I can absolutely savage them. Alright, there is a Cauldra. Without thinking about this at all, I believe that I have to attack with Preeminent Captain and put in Enlistment Officer. But there's a world where I do that in the other way, where I cast the Enlistment Officer and then put something in with Preeminent Captain. Big questions are just like, what is my opponent going to do with their Mother of Runes? So if I attack and put in Enlistment Officer... I need to play Enlistment Officer first, because it changes whether or not like Valiant Veteran can easily attack. So that involves this, I think. I will leave Cavern back so that I can cast Esper Sentinel. Oh shit, that's Captain of the Watch. So when I attack with Preeminent Captain, Captain comes in play, growing all of my things. Preeminent Captain no longer dies to Flicker Wisp. Valiant Veteran could die. Flicker Wisp. At this point, I think it's correct for me to go ahead and play this uncounterably. So, going in, this creature is going in and lives through combat. Captain of the Watch will be a 4/4 that also creates 3 3/3s. This will be a 3/3. I don't want to attack that into Flicker Wisp, so it's actually just going to be this. Alright. Captain of the Watch goes in, making a very large number of soldier tokens. Okay, my opponent has made their blocks, and they're saving the Stoneforge Mystic. That's fine. I was worried about the flying from the Flicker Wisp. So I now have a first strike creature back. I have a large amount of power. And I can do cool shit with multiple Palace Jailers, too. So on my turn, I can... Okay, I don't have to think about it. Cool. Ooh. What do I have for this matchup? Wars of Plowshares is good. Our Commando is playable. Unlicensed Hearse is playable. Armageddon is playable. It's mostly a question of, what don't I want? Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, is not strong, and neither is Chalice of the Void. I think every other card in my deck is reasonable. So Chalice is out, so I can play my Swords to Plowshares. Let's swap 2 Thalia or 2 Cathar Commando. I don't think I want Armageddon on the draw. I could also straight up play Aethersworn Canonist, but it is not a soldier. Unlicensed Hearse taking a while to get started and then getting hit by a Skyclave or Flicker Wisp or whatever doesn't feel great. Thalia getting bounced by Caracas also doesn't feel great, though. I'm just gonna submit. I'm very unsure about that. I have a removal heavy hand. I think I will keep it. I'm not thrilled, but I don't think this goes back either. Because this can, like, answer Mother of Runes into Stoneforge Mystic, which is one of the scariest openers. This opener will be bad versus Aether Vial in particular. So if my opponent leads on, like, Plains Aether Vial Go, I expect to lose. Does this do anything? I don't know that that does anything against me. That's not Containment Priest. Enlistment Officer is not what I'm looking for. I basically just want land at this point. I guess Ancient Tomb in particular would be cool. Basic Plains, also very good here. They got Mother of Runes. Into another Mother of Runes. In a lot of circumstances, that would be horrifyingly scary, but I have a fistful of removal. Be lazy and just do this now. I should technically do this at the end step, but I can't think of any possible card that makes that matter. Oh, Esper Sentinel is quite good here. We have play for this turn. Alright. Soldier. Play uncounterable Esper Sentinel into Source of Plowshares on the second Mother of Runes. I need another land drop. If I hit that other land drop, then I'm still good versus Stoneforge Mystic, which is the thing that I'm currently the most scared of. Not the biggest fan of that Rishadan. Okay. What the fuck does my opponent have? Containment Priest is reasonable. Cathar Commando is reasonable. Even Mind Sensor is possible. Opponent forgetting to set an upkeep stop is possible. I think I just play 2 spells this turn. So let's do this in the way that taxes my opponent most heavily. Play Thalia first. I think my opponent straight up forgot. Alright. Into Valiant Veteran. Yeah, I think my opponent missed their upkeep stop. Which is pretty costly, because that means that I got to play 2 creatures this turn instead of 1. Now my opponent is further under a Thalia. And while these Rishadan ports are very good against me, my opponent is not on board to take advantage of that fact. There's an upkeep stop. This is the worst land of the 3 that I have on the battlefield, for what that's worth. Okay. My opponent has played this in a way that has worked out very well for me. From their side of the battlefield, I would have cut me off all of the white and left me with the Ancient Tomb. Because I 100% need white to produce another body, and the colorless mana doesn't do much without another thing. But in the world where I have another white land, like letting me play another 3-drop is pretty rough. So I don't think that one's clear cut. I would have cut off these 2, but not like Ancient Tomb is explicitly wrong. Opponent needs like land drop into Solitude or something that swings the game approximately that hard, like land drop into Batterskull. So land drop into Batterskull would let me draw 2 cards. And more or less whatever they do, I'll just Brittle Cathar it if they have to expend all of their mana. Okay. So I'm just crashing in, right? Deal with everything else post-combat. Potentially lose something to like Containment Priest, but deal some amount of damage along the way. Send them. Okay, it's an Aganjo. That's fine. Decreases the amount of power that I have in play in the short term, but it's not actually that big of a problem. And like, this is a thing that my opponent will probably miss. I'm going to go ahead and lay out an Enlistment Officer and just stock up. Oh, yeah, those are cards. All right, I've got a full grip. I would love to just draw lands for basically the rest of this game. Opponent's at 9. I've got 6 damage on board. Batterskull. Flicker Wisp, sure. I don't feel like that does a lot. You may Flicker Wisp and target a land. 5 mana, right? This is 5 mana. Jailer. Jailer, remove Flicker Wisp. Crash in for 2, 4, 5, 6 damage. Or I can Brittle Cathar and Esper Sentinel. I think I just Jailer. Jailer gives me another look at a land here. Goodbye. Target Flicker Wisp. Crash in for 6 potential damage. Alright, opponent goes to 5. And to 3 after regular damage happens. I get to draw another card for being the pretty princess. Okay. Opponent did not end up using their Rishadan Port mana. Got Brutal Cathar for any sorcery speed creature that's played out. My opponent's at 3 life. So like a Stoneforge Mystic isn't good enough here. Alright, we have gotten the GGs. We're now 2-1. Okay, this is round 4. Got turn 1 Esper Sentinel into turn 2 Preeminent Captain, turn 3 Captain of the Watch on attack. That is absolutely a keep. Now things can go wrong, but you always can. But this is a very powerful hand. Preeminent Captain getting answered, followed by Ancient Tomb happening. Or, oh, God, that's a good draw. Alright, there's an Emery. So, how do I sequence this? I think I play Chalice of the Void as my bait spell for Force of Will, so that Preeminent Captain can actually resolve. That sounds good to me. Chalice. Just like we drew it up. That's a cantripping Chalice of the Void, yo. Ooh. That's interesting. Do I attack with Esper Sentinel? Like, is it worth my turn to kill that Emery? Right the fuck now? Yes, I think so. I think so. Y'all? This is big. I know this is a trap, but I don't know how energy right here. Alright, no block. Alright, opponent goes to 18. I drop a Preeminent Captain. And it putting in either Captain of the Watch or Palace Jailer is absurd. Ooh, opponent didn't crack their bauble immediately. I just thought that was going to happen. Okay, Urza's Saga. What did that target? That targeted Lotus Petal? Sure. Do I get to draw a card? Do not get to draw a card. Shadow Spear, very reasonable. Maria's Call. I can use my mana to play Palace Jailer on Emery, and then just put in an attacking Captain of the Watch. I like that. Dave Aganjo. Dave Aganjo. Alright. I'm just checking to see if this resolves. I expect that it does. I want to know right now. It does. Goodbye, Emery. I become the pretty princess. And at this point, it's hard for my opponent to get that Shadow Spear equipped and good to go before I just murder them. Like, this is 8 damage this turn, putting my opponent to 10. And without thinking about it, yeah. Okay, what do I have for sideboard cards here? I like Hearse. I think I like Swords to Plowshares. I like Cathar Commando. I don't think I'm into these cards, though. Chalice of the Void now converts to a card that goes on 0 instead of a card that goes on 1. Ward is target of a spell, right? Not spell or ability. Now, Ward is spell or ability. Okay. My Brawl Cathars and Palace Jailers are slightly worse. I don't think I want Thalias. This is tough. All my cards are, like, kind of relevant. Go these in. I want these for Emery. I still do want some number of those. Maybe going down on enlistment officers. I'm a little creature light at that point if I board out 8 creatures. Probably can't board in both Unlicensed Hearse and 8 Swords to Plowshares at the same time. Probably have to keep 2 of these. Or cut some Esper Sentinels, but I think Esper Sentinels are good. Got other things to do in the early game now. Let's try this. I would probably change my configuration for a game on the play, though. This is a hand. I would very strongly consider keeping this on the play. I don't think I can keep this on the draw. Let's ship that. Okay. What a 5. Alright, I'm keeping... On 5, I'm throwing away a Palace Jailer. And I think I'm going to try to high roll this hand and keep the Chrome Box. The hands where I see myself winning from this 5 involve me playing a Preeminent Captain and having everything go absolutely perfectly after that. Like, Preeminent Captain into Top Deck Captain of the Watch and have it just work out. This is annoying. Other Chrome Box is really bad for me. Okay. This is the only way that I think I can win this game. But my opponent can just junk their Spellbomb to bounce this at end of turn and then make Urza Saga tokens. Oh, shit, or just have Dismember. That's even worse. Okay. Life is bad. That helps a little bit. So now I can eat the end of turn Urza Saga token, and then pretty much always Palace Jailer the Urza Saga token that comes as a follow-up. It's just scary if my opponent can deploy a second creature this turn. assume this gets Shadow Spear, by the way. Oh, it's Retrofitter Foundry instead. Okay. Thoughtcast is rough. So I just can't draw a colorless card. Ooh. Do I need to play Palace Jailer, or can I just play Brutal Cathar? My opponent has a Force of Will and I go all in on Palace Jailer, I lose. Will I beat my opponent if they have Force of Will anyway? Brutal Cathar, it gets countered. My opponent plays a second creature. Palace Jailer becomes hard to utilize. Maybe not. My opponent has 5 pieces of gas plus 2 on board, like active cards. I think I'm going to go for the risky play, because I don't think the safe play wins me the game. This was, I think, a mulligan to 5, and I'm down 2 more cards to put cards under these Chrome Moxen. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, like, my opponent is willing to pitch a Kappa Cannoneer there. That probably does not bode well for me. Yeah, okay. I'm not going to beat that second Urza Saga. Oh, shit. Second Kappa Cannoneer as well. Okay. I'll take my draw step, and then I can concede. My opponent has 10, soon to be more power on board. I'm dead in 2 turns. Concede. Alright. For the game that I want to play, Esper Sentinel becomes better. Thalia becomes better. Maybe if I'm boarding in extra removal spells, dealing with Emery like this becomes less necessary, and I can just keep my body count slightly higher. I buy that. Wow. This kind of sucks. So I can play Chrome Mox, Imprinting, Swords of Plowshares, Plains, Chalice on 0, pass the turn 2 Preeminent Captain with no creature to put in. I don't like this hand. This hand is also unplayable. Why have you forsaken me, deck? The 5-card hand is easily the best hand that I have been offered thus far. I guess to play a Chalice on 0 into a turn 2 Palace Jailer. Or I can just slow roll things a little bit more and put back Chrome Mox and Amaria's Call. That's probably better. This is probably better. Alright. Start with the Chalice on 0, which I assume my opponent has a counterspell for. Oh shit, they didn't. Let's go. That bodes very well for me. Oh, okay. It's just an Urza Saga Ancient Tomb hand. Which dodges my shit so very well here. In a very annoying way. Say, Livy. Yep, there's the Ancient Tomb. Means that I can't really play out either one of these cards here. I'm hoping to draw a new card that I can play. The Cavern of Souls. We'll play that. That goes on Soldier. I'm not willing to play either one of these cards here. So my opponent is going to be very far ahead in the short term. Now, I do have the counter spells covered. So the removal spells that I have here will, like, stick. But I'm horrified of my opponent, like, playing a second Urza's Saga or something. Thoughtcast is very strong. Basically, if my opponent finds a bounce spell for this Chalice and can remove this from play, I think I'm dead. If they find another Urza's Saga, I'm similarly going to have a lot of trouble. Member's also very good. This turn, Brutal Cathar. Next turn, I remove the other one with Palace Jailer, and then hopefully remain the pretty princess for a while. Alright. Resolved. Goodbye Construct. Island from my opponent. I could just play a Kappa Cannoneer here, which would be annoying. Yeah. That's real good. That's also real good. I can get to the ward amount. It's nice. This is the big problem right now. Alright, do this. Take out Kappa Cannoneer. I will be looking to draw Swords to Plowshares, or alternatively, an Ancient Tomb. I also think I should have attacked with Brutal Cathar. And bluffed a Ganjo. Draw my card. Preeminent Captain is not fantastic right now. There's an Emery. I intentionally did not take Ancient Tomb damage last turn, which means that I didn't play around this to the best of my ability. One's got Plague Engineer in there. Lifelink Trample is blockable, but I can't kill it right now. I will go ahead and just eat that damage. I get to draw a card. And potentially Palace Jailer this away next turn. Probably just means bouncing Emery this turn. And hoping that my opponent can't put enough artifacts into play to kill me. Not very often that I'm trying to get to 8 mana in Legacy. But here we are. Oh, this is the combat damage step. Second main phase. Cast Preeminent Captain. I guess there's also worlds where I aggro kill my opponent next turn. Probably not through Shadow Spear. Would very specifically have to require Captain of the Guard. Alright. Thought Monitor is very good. So that's card draw, as well as buffing Kappa Cannoneer. Alright. Not dead. Definitely scared, though. I'm at 3. Ancient Tomb is still live, luckily. Ooh, they're doing something else. Okay, they are moving that. That's okay with me. Cathar Commando. How do I play this turn? The Thought Monitor kills me in the air if I don't gain life. Not something that I'm very good at doing. Cast Cathar Commando for 2 mana. Yeah, okay. Cast Cathar Commando for 2 mana. Use 1 mana, so that's 3 used. Target this. 4 mana. Pay for ward. Palace Jailer away Thought Monitor off the Preeminent Captain attack. Okay. Alright, there we go. Destroy Cathar Commando. Costs me 1 mana. The ward 4 happens. I pay for. So I do get to destroy Kappa Cannoneer. Crash in with my creatures. Preeminent Captain trigger. Palace Jailer. Remove Thought Monitor. I'm the pretty princess. Oh shit. An opponent takes 8 damage, going down to 9. I get an extra card. I have Enlistment Officer to try to do pretty gross things uncounterably next turn. My Ancient Tomb is not really a thing anymore. My opponent's Emery isn't a thing. All my opponent's 0-cost artifacts aren't a thing. Ancient Tombs are hard for both of us to use at this point. Okay, that is a Kappa Cannoneer. I believe I just have lethal through that on board. Play this uncounterably, and put in whatever I find that will most certainly be better than this. I'm just going to double check that I clicked on Soldier for Cavern of Souls. Alright, there's Enlistment Officer. Finds a Captain of the Watch. This is like my ideal card. Attack with all. Put in Captain of the Watch, which buffs the team. Alright, we have gotten the GG there. There's the first strike damage. There's the regular damage, and I win the match. Whew. That was scary. What are we now? We're 3-1. Alright, final round. I think my hand's a little lacking here, but with being on the draw and having double Esper Sentinel, I think I draw out of this enough that it's worth keeping. Swamp, Dark Ritual. How bad is it? That's not bad. That's still not bad. I lose Brutal Cathar here. Okay, yep, my guess was correct. Preeminent Captain is a fantastic draw here. So, in some good news versus this deck, whichever version it is, I don't have things like Fetch Land that are going to search my library. So my opponent's opposition agents are notably worse against me. Galaxy Voidwalker plus Ancient Tomb is like a very fast clock, because I'm going to take 5 a turn from the combination of those two things. I think Preeminent Captain puts me in a fine position where that's not actually a problem. Like, that thing putting in an Enlistment Officer followed by a real threat is probably very good. My opponent's down to 2 cards. Chrome Mox is not worth doing turn, I don't think. It is if my opponent has Sudden Edict, actually. Will I give up an Enlistment Officer to play around Sudden Edict? Fuck yeah. Gladly, in fact. Yeah. One first, in case there's any free spells that are nonsense. Alright, I've played around Sudden Edict. And then I have cast Enlistment Officer in to put something in with Preeminent Captain. Okay. Cool. I guess Brutal Cathar is under Doughty Voidwalker. Oh shit, it's a free spell that I played around. And I get to draw a card. Sure. Well, Liliana of the Veil is annoying. In the discard mode. Understood. Don't know if I would have chosen that mode. But here we are. Let's enlist some help here. Notably, I'm not playing my land drop until I see how this goes. Okay. There's a new enlistment officer. I really wanted to hit 2 cards there. I attack Lily for 1. My opponent could plus and get rid of my enlistment officer, or they can minus and get rid of my stuff that's in play. I can hold Snow-Covered Plains in hand, then keep an enlistment officer no matter what. Unless my opponent draws like a Thoughtseize or something. I think I like that. Makes me less able to double spell next turn, though. Right, Lily's down to 3 loyalty. See what the top of my opponent's deck brings. My opponent can junk Doughty Voidwalker to Brutal Cathar Enlistment Officer, and then Lily minus my Esper Sentinel out of the way. And a lot of pressure is taken off of my life total. Okay, I mean, that's very annoying, because that's, like, the one card that plays around me doing the sequence that I did. Now my opponent can plus and get rid of a land if they would like. Okay, they are staying aggressive with Doughty Voidwalker. I'm at 7. And there's a plus to get rid of my land. I'm always playing this, and now the question is, what do I do about Lily? If I attack my opponent for 3, they go to 9. And if I draw a Lord, 7 damage next turn. I don't know that I have time to deal with this anymore. Doughty Voidwalker kills me in 3 attacks. I think I have to pivot to trying to kill my opponent, which doesn't feel great. I just don't think, especially with my Ancient Tomb, that I have time to kill this before Doughty Voidwalker kills me now. But I'm kind of hoping that opponent at this point draws like the Thoughtseize, Dark Ritual type cards that are good in the early game and bad in the late game. My opponent at any point can also choose to slow this game down in a way that I can't by just playing Brutal Cathar and then double Edicting with Lily. Okay, that is a Lily plus getting rid of a Thoughtseize. That is now a dead card. Acceptable. I would like to draw my 2-mana Lord. I've been denied. Plains. Attack you for 4. Hope to top deck a Lord. A Lord kills my opponent next turn. Even through the Lily Edict. I think I just am forced to take this line. Alright. I will get rid of an Esper Sentinel. I've got 4 live draws. Actually, that's not true. I've got more than that. Because the Brutal Cathars also remove Doughty Voidwalker and take the pressure off. Okay, Doughty Voidwalker continues in. I think I'm on 7 outs. There might be more that I'm not thinking of. Yeah, actually there are. Ancient Tomb, though. Not one of them. So I now have to bluff a removal spell. I'm going to do that by switching to attacking Lily. This kills Lily. And then I'm going to pass the turn, and I am currently bluffing a Ganjo. Opponent did not activate Castle Locthwain for a card. Alright, opponent did not play around my removal spell. I have to concede. What do I like in this matchup? Not really Chalice of the Void. Where's the Plowshares is going to replace that. Geddon's playable. Curse is playable. Cathar Commando is playable. I'm not excited about any of those in particular. I'm going to go down 2 and... I want these to answer Leyline Helm. I need these to answer things like Shouldered and Rotting Regisaur. But Enlistment Officer is one of the best things against like 1-for-1 removal spells like Snuff Out. And Fatal Push. Do I have enough removal? Like, can I just +2 removal spells? Just keep these in. This gives me Jailer, Cathar, 2 Swords to Plowshares. Honestly, that's probably enough. Alright. Awkward hand is awkward. But probably still good enough. I have to top deck any land to be able to play Enlistment Officer on turn 2. Deal a lot of self-damage to myself. But I think this one's a keep. I believe Thalia is the play on turn 1 over Esper Sentinel. Stops the Dark Ritual type cards from coming down on turn 1. Now, what I put under this Chrome Mox is much harder. I think it's the second Enlistment Officer. I'm not 100% sure about that, but it feels right to me. This gives me flexibility. It gives me pseudo card draw if I miss a land drop, a play for if my opponent gets a creature out that I care about, and late game card draw. Fantastic. Cavern on Soldier. Hack for 2. My opponent to 18. And attempt to draw some bonus cards here. Rule Cathar and Cathar Commando. They're both situational. I'm not the biggest fans of those. Like, I'd much prefer something like a Lord or a Palace Jailer here. But, you know, I'll take what I can get. Dark Ritual into Rotting Regisaur. Yep, alright. We got that covered. Do I want 4 mana this turn? Yes, I want 4 mana this turn, so I can play this tapped. Play Esper Sentinel first. Then play Brutal Cathar. Exile Reggie. Crash in for 4. Opponent's at 14. And the fact that I have another removal spell here probably means that I'm not losing this one. Like, something wild like a Toxic Deluge could happen. But, like, I have the combo covered. I have more creatures covered. Okay. Kick Turok is good. Like, that's pro-white. That definitely matters. Okay. That's annoying. So, do I want to attack in? Really? Let's just transform this. That Turok was very good. That dropped so much of my pressure. I've got very good cards that I can draw, though. Like, at this stage. I can also put my opponent into a situation where I just alpha strike them through approximately 1 blocker. Oh, thick. Lily draws me a card. Okay. We'll discard an Ancient Tomb, unfortunately. Throwing Turok. And I'll get an end of turn Cathar Commando. But I draw here another Cathar Commando. I can attack Lily with 1, 2, 3 creatures and kill Lily and not have to worry about that. That sounds fine to me. Lily, Lily, Lily. I want to send Esper Sentinel at face. Probably do. I have 1 creature guaranteed dying anyway. Yeah, that's fine. In case this becomes a battle of inches, I want to be ready. Okay. Alright, Lily's dead. I lose Thalia. I've got a Cathar Commando on my opponent's turn. I've got more or less enough power that I can consider... Oh shit, that's very good. How does this work? Player casts at least 2 spells during their own turn. Oh fuck, this is red now, isn't it? This is now red. Shit, this could have attacked. Or no, it's it still doesn't have 4 power. I was considering attacking with the Turok. Ooh. If I take 5, I go to 9. Theoretical lethal next turn. I think I'm just going to try to draw any spell I can cast and then do things like that. I don't think I cast this on my turn. Alright, I'll eat that, of course. I'll hold the Ancient Tomb for, like, Lily. Yeah, that's fine. It's awkward if my opponent... this is very awkward. Random pro-white creature is very good. I don't think I'm winning this one. I'm not far away from it, but Turok is just really hard to beat for my deck. Okay. Yeah, I don't really know how I beat the Turok. Like, I could chump this turn, but then my opponent gets back another Rotting Regisaur that I have trouble dealing with. Kill. 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13? 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12. This is exactly 13 damage. if I would have played out the Cathar Commando at my opponent's end step so that it could have attacked, I would have had lethal. That was the out that I was playing to. So instead, I need to play Valiant Veteran on this turn. Jump block with Moonrage Brute on my opponent's turn. Play Cathar Commando at end step, and then try to kill my opponent for 13 on the back swing. Okay. Oh, actually, this is not a soldier right now. That is only a werewolf. Alright, understood. My opponent will discard whatever card it is they have. Just a swamp. Opponent is very much having trouble deciding whether or not they are supposed to attack with Rotting Regisaur. Going with no. My line is obligatory. No choice in the matter. 3 first strike damage on that creature. Fortunately, is not 4. And let's see if I can somehow kill my opponent. I think that does it. Uncounterable Palace Jailer. Move a Rotting Regisaur. Oh, actually, shit, I think that doesn't do it. Alright, so this gets blocked. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, that extra Rotting Regisaur body coming back was the deal breaker there. And then I lose to this being pro-white. Yep. Alright. Concede. GG's, we end up with a 3-2 finish. Overall thoughts on the deck list. Pretty good. Valiant Veteran was better than I expected, and we did actually activate the 5-mana ability many more times in this league than I was expecting. I was expecting that to be flavor text, and I was wrong. I thought there was going to be enough exile-based removal in Legacy that just wasn't going to come up. Preeminent Captain alongside Captain of the Watch was really good in this league. This was a good deck. I wasn't expecting Palace Jailer to look and feel good, but when supplemented by Brutal Cathar, and having a full playset of these, the cards felt good. Sometimes, as in that last match there, these being my removal spells instead of just having hard things like Swords to Plowshares is awkward, because sometimes the creatures can come back, but you're hoping that the games end before that sort of stuff happens. Generally speaking, I like the cards that I have access to. I felt a little bit awkward in some of my boarding, because I felt like there were a lot of things that were kind of okay, say Unlicensed Hearse and Armageddon in a handful of matchups. I just wasn't really sure what I wanted to take out. I think you don't want to board too many cards with a deck like this, though, because you want to increase the power of cards like Valiant Veteran and Enlistment Officer as much as possible by keeping to those synergies. So there was a round I was thinking about boarding out 8 cards, and if I'm going to do that, I really decrease the power of me being a tribal deck. Yeah, so I enjoyed this a lot. Gameplay felt really good and was really interesting. I hope you did. If you did, click the like button on your way out. It helps out a lot. I hope you have a great rest of the day. If you want to mess around with this deck list or get one of your own on the stream, all that information is available in the video description. See ya!